It has been a couple of days since the Hydra changes got implemented in Raid Shadow Legends, guys. Since then, we've got to do a bit of testing, right? And kind of like notice a couple of different things. In today's video, I want to focus on enemy max HP champions and why I think that these champions can help a lot of you guys now to do higher damage than you were doing with the previous teams. Now, don't get me wrong. Every single champion, every single team in the game got a massive slap in the face with the new update. It really doesn't matter what team you were using before, as long as you are doing a lot of damage, you got a smack in the face. So the very first change is, of course, the turn limit count, which will reduce your overall damage by approximately 33%, a third to be more specific. So leaving all that on the side, the new mechanics are the main thing that are messing up the teams, right? Having the Serpent buff and taking absolutely zero damage. Having the HP bar on decapitated heads, which means that as soon as you break that HP, that head will instantly spawn back. So having the decreased speed, trying to control them to keep them down for as long as possible to do a lot of damage is not something that will be effective anymore. So we need to basically find different ways, different strategies on how we can improve the damage for most of the raw damage dealers. I will be doing a live stream probably by the time you see this video. Either the stream is already finished, either I'm still in the process of getting everything done, where I really want to test some of the most OP teams in the game. At least one of the most OP teams that I can build on my account. And I want to try different things. Get rid of hacks, get rid of decreased speed, protection, etc. Things that I really think that are affecting our performance in the Hydra clan boss with the current changes being implemented. Is how the enemy max HP champions can help a lot of you guys out there that are struggling with the Hydra clan boss to get a better score. Now, I'm not talking about the most OP endgame players that already have tons of crazy champions and teams. I'm talking about the people that before were using champions with AoE attacks, like Razelvarg, for an example, right? He was a pretty solid damage dealer, which got smacked pretty hard. And I'm not talking to you that has a +4 Razelvarg with a 6-star crushing ground and tons of OP champions to go with him, because he's still going to perform pretty well. I'm talking about the people that were not able to get the craziest builds on their champions, right? Enemy max HP became better now, guys, okay? Razelvarg, champions like Affidus, which recently got a buff. He got a smack in the face too, so he's not going to perform as good anymore, even though this skill is pretty crazy since they buffed him, but things changed. Geralt is not going to be so amazing anymore, and the main idea is because these champions need to take a lot of turns. They need to do a lot of actions in order to drop a lot of damage, and we just can't really run the teams as we were running them before. Now, when we're talking about enemy max HP champions, like, take for an example, where is he hiding? Otorian Wallmaster, right? Double hit enemy max HP. The Hydra heads have, let's just say, a specific amount of HP, right? On each difficulty is different, so that's why I'm not going to give you exact numbers. When you decapitate that head, the HP will double, which means that the damage dealt by an enemy max HP champion like Otorian will double as well. So even though their damage got decreased as well because of the turn count limitation and the buffs that are being added to the Hydra clan boss, which are so nasty now, they are still performing better than they used to perform before. And I'm not talking about overall the highest numbers that you're going to see, right? Because those numbers got cut off by a lot for pretty much every team. But enemy max HP champions are definitely more effective now. I'm talking about champions like Newt, for example. And I'm gonna take him in the team. You know why? Because he's single target. So just to kind of like show you different things. You have Acrisia, double hit, right? So if you're attacking the Head of Suffering on Nightmare, you were dealing 500k damage before. Now, on a decapitated Head of Suffering on Nightmare, you're gonna deal 1 million per hit. And champions that have multi-hits will be better than champions that only use an enemy max HP skill once, like a Husk or a Royal Guard, for example, right? But even though a Husk or a Royal Guard might be what you need in your team to really get you to the one key, to the top chest, to get you to somewhere closer on your milestones. And I'm not talking about normal difficulty and hard. Enemy max HP champions, they've never been effective on these two difficulties. On hard, they will be a bit better now than before when the heads are decapitated, but still, it's hard to justify using them on those difficulties. If we're gonna go on brutal or nightmare, it will be something completely different. So I'm gonna take Husk out of here actually, and instead I'm going to bring in Newt just to try him out in here, so you guys get a better idea of what exactly is happening, right? So the enemy max HP champions can put in some pretty good numbers after the changes, right? So I'm not gonna use the enemy max HP just yet because we do need that defense down and weaken to hit the cap. Marius, Otorian, they don't have the highest multipliers out of the enemy max HP champions. But if we're gonna go in with Newt, for example, check this out. So if we're hitting the Head of Suffering, we have 514, 514, 514. So that's the damage that we are dealing versus the Head of Suffering when is not decapitated. Now, once we decapitate the heads, everything will change. Look at that, 256, 266, because we're not just there on hitting the cap. If we go in with Marius as well, triple hitter, 208, 230, 228. We just don't have enough firepower to really hit the cap on every single one of them just yet. But once you decapitate them, that changes if you apply the debuffs as well. So I'm going to try to kill as many of them at the same time, okay? We wanna drop them at the same time if possible. Because then I'm going to be able to basically show you what I'm trying to explain you here in a better way. Yes, a lot of endgame players that are looking to have some fairly decent auto teams can use champions like this. Don't get me wrong, I am well aware that Marius is a very endgame champion. I know people that are in the mid game and stuff like this won't be able to get Marius. But that doesn't mean that other champions like Newt, Otorian, etc. won't be able to basically improve your Hydra damage, considering that the changes that we currently have in-game are actually pretty nasty, okay? So we are pretty much on equal level here. I still have Hex on Venus, so that might not be necessarily the best thing. That's something that I'm really looking to test out after. So let's put Otorian. We might even lose him because of the debuff that he has on. So I'm not really sure if only one hit went in here. I feel like it looked like only one hit went in on the animations. Maybe I haven't used the A2. Maybe I misclicked. We're gonna find out in a second. So let's try to take this head down as well. The more we have that at the same time, the better. So another thing that we need to really... no, I used the A2. To keep an eye on is when we're killing the heads, we want to kill the heads in pairs of 2 or all 4 at the same time. Because every time the Hydra heads spawn together, one will have the buff, one will not. If all of the heads spawn one after another, and it's very hard to control this, especially with hacks on and other things, that means that they're all going to have the buff on. Which means that you're going to take turns and deal no damage, and you're just losing turns without dealing any damage. So these are other things that I'm really looking to test out in the next couple of days, and especially on the live stream today. So let's see. Boston count 10, we have 13 million damage. So do I want to use the enemy max HP? I don't think I want to do it just yet. Let's go A1. I'll rather use it with Marius or somebody else. Let's put the HP burn. Otorian. So yeah, I feel like this, because it's AoE, should take all of the heads down. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. So the Head of Mischief will spawn out pretty soon, but another one will spawn with the Head of Mischief. So I kind of like need to go in with Newt. So check this out. We're going to go on the Head of Suffering. You've seen 514k, right? Look at this. 1 million, 1 million, 1 million. So basically 3 million damage with enemy max HP, just because the Hydra heads now have a HP when they're decapitated. I still think that this HP should be higher. That's one of the main feedbacks that I give to Plarium. They need to increase the HP on this. Not only that, it will benefit the enemy max HP champions more, which will put them in a more equalish line with the raw damage dealers, but it will allow the raw damage dealers to actually use their skills multiple times before you're just spawning the Hydra head back, you know? So check out Otorian. I have weaken and defense down, so we should be hitting the cap on everybody. So we have 23.9 million damage. See, 1 million, 1 million, and of course double on each head. And bang, we jumped all the way to 30 million. The more multi-hits on the enemy max HP skill, the better. And one thing that I can already tell you from now, just by looking at all of the changes that they've made, expect to see new enemy max HP champions that might have 4 or 5 hits on their skill, okay? And they will become somehow maybe a new type of meta for Hydra, because create a problem, create an issue, solve the problem by selling the product, right? Right. So they have been doing this pretty often now. So I'm gonna let it go on auto just for a little bit. You see, 2 heads spawned together, one got the buff, one did not. One spawned separately, got the buff. The other one spawned separately, got the buff. So right now I had 3 buffs. Plarium said it's not gonna be very often when you're gonna have 4 serpent buffs on all of your Hydra heads. My god, it's so freaking common that it drives you nuts. And I'm not just saying it from my personal experience with all of the testing that I've done, but I'm seeing it being posted everywhere. Discords, on socials, everywhere. People are just literally memeing what Plarium said because they were so wrong about it. So I just kind of like wanted to basically bring the enemy max HP champions a bit into the spotlight, guys, to give you a better understanding of how they work now and how effective they can be for your teams. Don't get me wrong, all of the teams, all of the champions got their damage reduced. And a lot of people are saying that, well, mid-game players are going to be in trouble now. Actually, guys, I'll be honest, you're not going to notice such a massive difference with the Hydra changes, just because when you are in the mid-game, you just don't have the craziest gear to overpower the Hydra heads, to deal a lot of damage on them, and stuff like this. So nothing really changes for you guys in terms of how you interact with the Hydra, because you just don't have that insane firepower on your nukers to just absolutely demolish the Hydra heads. I'm not saying that reducing the turn count won't affect you, because that will affect everyone if you were reaching the turn limit count before at 1,500 turns. But other than that, you're not really going to notice such a big difference in your team's damage, right? Auto teams do suffer quite a bit. Very bad AI, very poor implementation on the AI. I feel like they haven't really tested how the AI works, and they've just released it as it is. So they definitely need to sort that out. And teams that were doing crazy damage before are getting punished the most. Yes, they absolutely killed the shield comps, okay? I don't really understand why they had to go so hard on them, and why they haven't left them as being a bit competitive as well. I know a lot of you guys will say because those were fusion champions, they're free champions, and they don't want that. I don't disagree with it. Maybe that's the reason. Tranda, by the looks of it, she's still going to be the top of the top. So far, they've been teams that are putting 2, 3 to 4 billion damage with Tranda teams. Any other team that used to be OP is still subpar to Tranda by miles, okay? So they failed at actually really delivering the changes that were required Tranda comps, okay? And instead, they've just created this massive mess that wrecked every single team. The more powerful champions you have, the more powerful gear, the more higher blessings you have, the more you suffer in the Hydra clan boss. Just because every team that was doing crazy damage, the more crazier it is the team, the more you get punished, basically. So it's kind of like, in a way, telling people, you know what, we want to save you money. Don't buy shards. Don't get new champions. Don't farm more better gear because you don't need it. And don't open soul stones because you don't need the souls on your champions, the blessings, because you're just going to get punished. You're going to do less damage than they were doing it before because you're overkilling the heads. And yes, those are the teams that got affected the most. And you're going to notice this the longer you're actually going to try to play the Hydra. A lot of you guys probably haven't tried to use any of your old teams just yet, but definitely give it a go and see how it will be affected. But leave the part with the turn count out of the equation, right? So you lost a third of the damage from there. Every single team did. But just kind of like try to do a bit of math and see. Okay, so before I used to do 600 million damage, hell, I'm dealing 400 million damage now, which means that your team did not really got affected as much as you might think. While other teams that were doing 2-3 billion damage before Now they're doing 700 million damage, okay? So it's a massive difference. Now, I've done a run on Brutal, guys, with 3 enemy max HP champions, just to kind of like show you guys a couple of different results in here. 367 million full auto. It does look amazing to see 23 minutes for a full auto team. Marius 160 million, Otorian 103 million, Husk 48 million. So you guys get the drill, right? Otorian doubles the damage from Husk. Marius adds another third to it because he has a triple hitter. But still, Husk dealt pretty good damage. 50 million damage, enemy max HP with a single hit. So I feel like a lot of you guys can actually utilize this to your own advantage now to try and increase a bit the damage. So if you need to drop some of the raw damage dealers to incorporate 1 or 2 enemy max HP champions just to try and get a better result, I feel like it can be a pretty good option for a lot of you guys out there. So if you are running raw damage dealers, guys, you might want to take in consideration in replacing some of them with enemy max HP champions. And some of you guys that were not using a Husk or a Royal Guard, and you're still kind of like on Brutal and you're not doing hundreds of millions, try to incorporate one in your teams. You will get better results than you were getting before. Now, I'm not talking about the big Krakens, right, that have all of the crazy champions, teams, etc., that are still dealing with 900, 700, 800 million damage. I'm talking about the rest of the players. I want to show you some results that are posted by the community, of course, in the RSL Leaderboards Discord, where people are kind of like putting it for the records. So let's start with, what do we have here? We have Elcas. This is for IPR Hyro. This is the result. So a team like this before was doing around 6, 7, 8 to 9 billion damage. A very similar team, right? Not bad damage out of this team. 1.1 billion. But this is on Brutal. It's not on Nightmare, okay? And this is, yeah, a full manual team. 1,000 turns. Toshiro 653 million. It doesn't look as spicy as it used to look before. Let me just tell you that. Then seems like we have Tegani right here with Thor. That's something that I actually wanna see as well. What sort of result he got with this team. So we have Hydra Nightmare, a full run, 1,000 turns. He actually lost Thor a bit early. And we have Ninja, which is a single target hitter, which will deal better damage with 474 million. Then you have Theox with 139 and Thor with 239. Thor is another champion that will suffer a lot from these changes because of his AoE skills. So that's another thing to keep in mind with Thor. Still decent damage. 1 billion is actually very nice. Then if we are looking at other teams with enemy max HP, that's kind of like what I'm trying to find here to show you. So let's see, what do we have? There we go. So we have Hydra Nightmare. I can't see the name, just a G here. So I can't really read your name, brother, because I don't know who you are. But either way, 584 million damage. Aphidus, 141 million. Pretty weak. Aphidus, after the changes on the old Hydra, was one of the better damage dealers, okay? He was definitely in the order of hundreds of millions, okay? Breaking 500 million damage. In this team, which it seems to be maybe manual, maybe is a bit of a mixture in between manual and auto at 44 minutes. Marius, 318 million damage, guys. 318, so he out-damaged Thor by quite a bit. Now, in the previous Hydra thing with before the buff, Thor used to do 500, 600, 700 million damage, okay, which was doubling what Marius does now. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to point out here, that for people that don't have the most OP champions, right? This is from Soul Saint, a clanmate of mine actually. 6-star Razelvarg with Crushing Rend, 223 million. Toshiro, 272 million. Alice, 124 million. So high AoE damage, lost quite a bit of value versus some other champions here. And as I mentioned, buffs, debuffs, gear sets, and stuff like this, they will need to be basically adjusted based on the changes. This one right here is from Mr. Rad. We have Marius with double Harima. Pretty good damage on Brutal, 581 million. I'm trying to find a couple of different ones to show you as well. We have Syntako right here, no enemy max HP. But you have Theox and Toshiro, 314 million from Theox, 484 from Toshiro. Still pretty good damage from Toshiro. He might be the best after Tranda now. Still like before, even though Ieyasu kind of like swooped in there for a little bit. Then what do we have right here? We have a nice one. I'm not sure what's the difficulty because I can't really see. So this is from Rainer. 1 billion damage. Carnage, 607 million. Actually, not bad damage. And that's, of course, with Theox, which boosts the damage quite a bit. Not too bad, not too bad. Then we have more enemy max HP champions. I want to show you a couple of more screenshots, then we're done, guys. Basically, just to kind of like get an idea of how all of these teams are running at the moment, right? What champions, what damage. So right here we have Grazur, 83 million. He's only with a single hit. You have Marius with 238 million and Taras with 86 million. Then what else we have in here that might be interesting to show you? We have one with Husk, and that's on Brutal. 16 million, that's pretty weak from Husk. But it's only 79 million, okay. 37 from Thor. I'm not even sure why he posted this one in there. Actually was a personal best for him. GG's, well done, buddy. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So enemy max HP champions do look much better than they used to look before. So let's actually pay attention and see what score we got here with these ones. So we went all the way up to turn 111 with 160 million damage. I could definitely go higher. I do need to change this team. I feel like decrease speed, increase speed are not really the right things. Too many enemy max HP champions in a team again. They might not be the best combination either. But there you go. Pretty good result overall. So before was pretty much the same thing. Enemy max HP team was still doing a few 100 million damage and stuff. But I feel like now it will benefit more the mid-game player than it ever did before. As usual, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you are trying enemy max HP, let me know the result in the comments down below as well. Did it improve your team and stuff like this? Much love, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.